Amerika Qo'shma Shtatlarida dafn etilayotgan bizning vatandoshlarimiz va barcha musulmonlar mana shunday maxsus taxtali tobutda mana shu jarayon amalga oshiriladi. Musulmonchilikda bunaqa qabrlar ishlatish mumkin emas. Lekin shunday holatlar ham bo'ladiki, Amerikadagi musulmonlar mana shunday qabrni ham ishlatishadi. Kimlar va qaysi holatda buni ham bilib olamiz. Amerikada 99% holatlarda murdani yorish bo'lmaydi.
Organs. One gentleman came into to this gusulhane, and he looking for a container. He says, "Where's the container?" I said, "Which container, brother?" He says, "Where you suck all the blood. Where do you put the blood?" I said, "Brother, we don't take the blood out. If we live our lives knowing and at least once a day realizing that we're going to die and we're going to need these services, then you live a better life."
Hozirda biz New Yorkda joylashgan dafn etilish marosimini o'tkazadigan maxsus imom markazidamiz va ushbu markazning rahbari bilan hozir uchrashamiz va barcha savollarimizni beramiz. Ularga savollar berishdan oldin men bir tarixiy faktni eslamoqchiman. 13-asrda fransuz xirurgi Gide Shilyak chuma kasalligini davolash bilan shug'ullangan va o'sha paytgacha butun Yevropada ham, hattoki o'sha xristian dinida ham odamni yorish, ya'ni murdani yorish degan tushuncha umuman bo'lmagan va din bu narsani taqiqlagan edi, xuddi musulmon diniga o'xshab. Lekin aynan o'sha paytda 13-asrda chuma kasalligi butun Yevropada bo'layotgan paytda Gide Shilyak Rim papasini, demak Klement 6-ni qanaqadir bir shunaqa bir tavsiya berish kerak ediki, u kasal bo'lib qolmasligi uchun va u Rim papasiga shunday bir maslahat bergandi. Siz odamlar bilan gaplashayotgan paytingizda o'rtangizda olov bo'lsin. Mana shu olov eng asosiy dezinfeksiya. Va haqiqatan Klement 6 ko'p odam bilan uchrashgan, olov orqali gaplashgan va bir marotaba ham kasal bo'lmagan. Shundan keyin Klement 6 Rim papasi Gide Shilyakka ruxsat berganki, rasman xristian dinidagi demak mumkin emas bo'lgan qoidalarga qaramasdan murdani yorish. Hozirda bilamizki, O'zbekistonda odam o'tib ketgandan keyin uni albatta yorish kerak va prokuror nazoratida ushbu narsa amalga oshiriladi. Nimaga? Chunki jinoyat bo'lgan bo'lishi mumkin. Yaqinlari ushbu o'tib ketgan odamni yaqinlari bilmasligi mumkin. Haqiqatan ham demak o'z ajali bilan o'ldimi yoki kimdir yordam berdi bu masalada. Shuning uchun O'zbekistonda hozir shunaqa qoida. Lekin Amerika Qo'shma Shtatlarida 99% holatlarda murda yorilmaydi. Albatta shunday bir holatlar bo'ladiki, u paytda murda yorilishi shart va bu holatlarni bugun mana shu imom markazini, demak dafn etilish markazini rahbaridan bilib olamiz va qolaversa hamma savollarni beramiz. Eng asosiy masala, agarda bizni o'zbekistonliklarni qarindoshi shu yerda Amerikada vafot etgan bo'lsa, ushbu demak qarindoshimizni, o'tib ketgan qarindoshimizni, yaqinimizni O'zbekistonga yuborish uchun nimalar bu yerda qilinadi? Qanaqa jarayon amalga oshiriladi? Qolaversa buni narx-navosi qancha? Nima uchun aynan taxtali tobutlardan bu yerda foydalaniladi butun Amerikada va bu narsa shart? Va ba'zi bir musulmonlar aynan shu yerda, New Yorkda va Amerikada musulmon bo'lishlariga qaramasdan aynan tobutlarni tobut emas, haligi xristian dinidagi qabrlarni ishlatishadi. Nima uchun? Bularni ham mana shu savollarni bugungi mehmonimizga beramiz va eng asosiysi narx-navo. Ya'ni janoza agarda shu yerni o'zida o'tkaziladigan bo'lsa, narx-navo qancha? Va agarda o'tib ketgan qarindoshimizni O'zbekistonga yuboradigan bo'lsak, mana bu agentlikni demak qancha xizmatiga biz to'lashimiz kerak va eng asosiysi qanaqa jiddiy tashkiliy muammolarga ushbu agentlikni rahbari hamisha duch keladi, aynan o'zbekistonliklarning janozasida, tashkiliy nuqtai nazardan. Ularning hammasini mana shu agentlikni, mana shu markazni xo'jayini va qolaversa menejeri Ahmadjon akadan bilib olamiz. Ular asli turk va intervyuni ingliz tilida olamiz. Demak, ingliz tilida olinishiga qaramasdan subtitrlar qo'yishga harakat qilamiz tarjimani. Agarda subtitrlarni ham tushunmaydigan bo'lsalar, iltimos ingliz tilini o'rganish davri keldi. Chunki men hamisha aytaman, hozirda savol berishadi. Siz nima ingliz tilini bilmaysizmi? Agarda 5 yildan keyin maksimum boshqacha savol bo'ladi. Siz hali ham ingliz tilini bilmaysizmi? Iltimos ingliz tilini tushuninglar va mana shunday intervyularni original tilda ko'rishga harakat qilinglar. Demak, intervyuni birgalikda ko'rishni boshlaymiz. Imom dafn etilish byurosining rahbari hamda xo'jayinlari Ahmad aka bilan tanishamiz. Assalomu alaykum. Marhaba.
Aleykümselam, merhaba kardeş.
Wa alaykum assalam. So the first question, when you know the news that one person passed away in the hospital and their relatives called you, would you please tell us step by step what you have to do?
Sure. First of all, they would have to call us or a funeral home and give the funeral home the basic important information, the name, their date of birth, their home address, and most important, they would have to give us either their husband, wife's name or the closest relative name. Once they do this, we always recommend to the family to let the hospital take the Janoza to the hospital morgue, and then we would go and pick up the Janoza from the morgue and bring to our Janoza.
So that you have to do, not the relatives.
Yeah, not the relatives. Our service specifically from the hospital all the way to Samarkand or to Tashkent doesn't have to do anything. We do everything for the Janoza religiously, embassy paperwork, death certificates, airline. We handle everything because the family is already upset and we want to take as much from their shoulders and help them.
Thank you. So by our Muslim tradition, we have to have ghusl, which means the religious washing. Would you please show us where and how you have to do that? As I know, it has to be in that room.
Sure, please. Well,
Demek hozirda g'usul, ya'ni o'tib ketgan insonni qay tarzda yuvishadi va butun marosim qayerda o'tishini hozir ko'rsatamiz. Bu yerda bir odam vafot etgan, shuning uchun ularni bekitib qo'ydik.
To all of our brothers and sisters that are here for respect.
For respect, yeah, and the body is here. You just hide it, yes.
Of course, out of respect.
Buni oldin aytib o'tganimda, u yoqda yana bir
In our
odam.
language, we call it
Okay.
mahrem. So
Yes.
that's a mahrem for
Yeah.
only the family.
In our language as well.
Also.
Yeah. So religious washing.
The religious washing happens here on our ghusl table here. Everything is temperature regulated. According to our religion, we cannot do to a person who died, who is living, to the same thing that the person who died. So if I don't want to be washed in cold water, then I have to wash the Janoza in warm water. And
because in the cold water it has
they
to be
might
haram,
feel it. We don't know.
and it would be haram.
It would be haram to actually disturb the Janoza. So we try to least possible contact, least possible disturbance, as peaceful and soft and careful as possible. So we wash with warm water, and we do not freeze Janoza. Very, very bad also, because we don't know if they feel.
Yes.
Nobody knows. So we do the ghusl here. They wash from head to toe with soap and water. And then after that, they do the same as abdest ghusl, where they put 3 times in the nose, 3 times in the mouth, 3 times in the face. We do the mest behind the ears, behind the neck, the arms 3 times, the feet 3 times, between the toes, everything. And once the person is perfectly clean, then the person is lowered into our tabut. And
it is a wood-made tabut.
Wood tabut, as
So-
simple as possible. Alhamdulillah, according to the guidelines of Islam. And if the person is being shipped, we would use these. They have a metal interior to abide by the rules and regulations.
Just 1 second. Shu narsani bilib olishimiz kerakki, Amerika Qo'shma Shtatlarida dafn etilayotgan bizning vatandoshlarimiz va barcha musulmonlar mana shunday maxsus taxtali tobutda, mana shu jarayon amalga oshiriladi. Bundan so'ng biz bilib qo'yishimiz kerak. Buni ikki xili bor. Agarda O'zbekistonga o'raydigan bo'lsa, demak ichida temir uskunalar bo'ladi. Agarda shu yerni o'zida janoza bo'ladigan bo'lsa, demak temir uskunalarsiz. So what about the price concerning the if with the metal and without the metal one?
Well, the metal is for there's two types of ways to send overseas. So one, we would use a completely almost vacuum sealed metal plastic bag where it's airtight and watertight.
Of course, it's
And
for
then we
sending to Uzbekistan.
To Uzbekistan, so we'll use a regular wood one.
Mhm.
Sometimes we send perfectly kafaned, ready for burial, and we don't have to put into this bag. So we put it into this box because they are embalmed. So the embalming is like a temporary mummification. It's a chemical released into the body.
I will
we'll
ask
get
it
to
about
that,
it a little bit later. So I see that kind of, I could say, tomb.
Yes, this is a fancy tabut, which is also against our religion. I would like to make this very, very clear.
I have to explain it in Uzbek as well. Bilamiz, musulmonchilikda bunaqa qabrlar ishlatish mumkin emas. Lekin shunday holatlar ham bo'ladiki, Amerikadagi musulmonlar mana shunday qabrni ham ishlatishadi. Kimlar va qaysi holatda bundan so'ng bilib olamiz. So who will use that?
Some families have a mixture of Christian Muslims. Some families come from areas in Europe where they're very influenced by Christianity.
Yes.
And
They're Muslim,
but they're still influenced from generations of Christianity. For example, the Balkan countries, some of them, Albania, sometimes, not so much Kosovo, maybe Montenegro, some of these countries, they're heavily Christian influenced. They are Muslims. As a Muslim, I'm required to tell them that this is against the religion. So once I tell them this, and they still want this.
but you can't force them.
Yes, exactly. I can tell them this is haram. You shouldn't. It's not necessary, please. But then at the end of the day, we are here to serve the families because they are trusting us with their mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. So whatever they tell us, our hands are tied. And I don't personally like using this. It's very unnecessary.
As I know, many funeral services companies don't have that kind of equipment. Would you please tell us what kind of equipment is that?
Sure. The way we designed here is, like I was explaining earlier, we want to disturb the janazah as little as possible. So when the janazah comes here on a hospital stretcher, we put the stretcher here and these straps underneath it, and it gently lifts the janazah up. So this would basically be lifting. It's like very slowly, very gently, and then it would lift. Then we would use this table here. If you don't mind me showing you, is that
yes,
okay?
please.
We would unlock it.
Hozirda mana shu uskuna ko'plab mana shunday tashkilotlarda New Yorkda yo'q. Bu mana shu uskuna bu yerda bor. Qay tarzda uni ishlashini hozirda sizlarga ko'rsatib berishadi. Ya'ni tasavvur qiling, demak jasad shu yerda bo'ladi va butun jarayonni hozir bizga Ahmad akam ko'rsatib beradilar. Please.
So we would move the stretcher once it's gently lifted, not this high, of course. Once it's gently lifted, we move the stretcher, and then we put this underneath the janazah, and then we gently lower onto the table. Once the janazah is on the table, then we move the janazah back to the wash station here, like such. We lock it. Here our imam, they do the ghusl and wash and kafan here. And once the kafan and everything's done again, the same process. We would bring it here, raise the janazah gently, and put inside of the tabut.
Okay.
This way, sometimes some people are bigger, some people are smaller. Sometimes the family helps, sometimes the family doesn't help. And instead of two people trying and wrestling with the janazah, this gently,
Yes. Endi odamning vazni har xil bo'lishi mumkin, katta odam bo'lishi mumkin, semizroq odam bo'lgan bo'lishi mumkin va uni ko'tarishda, bu ayniqsa yaqinlari ko'tarishda yoki bu yerdagi xodimlarni ko'tarishda, bu etika nuqtai nazaridan bu demak o'sha insonga stress bo'lishi mumkin. Shuning uchun ham mana shunday maxsus uskuna demak bu yerda ishlatiladi. Endi biz bilamizki, aytgancha bundan oldin aytib o'tganimdek, O'zbekistonda odam vafot etganda uni qarindoshlari xohlaydimi, xohlamaydimi, albatta murda yorilishi shart. Va sud ekspertni xulosasidan keyin bu jarayon prokuror tomonidan nazorat qilinadi. Keyingina demak dafn etilish marosimi bo'ladi. Xo'sh, Amerikada bu masala qay tarzda hal bo'ladi? So, autopsy. In Uzbekistan, we have the law that we have to do that at any case. So that would be under the control of the prosecutor. So in the US, what kind of situation we can have here? So at which case the autopsy is a must, and at which situation we can skip it?
In America, 99% of Janoza's cases, the family has the right to refuse an autopsy. The medical examiner or the coroner, they still do a toxicology to check, minimal things. But the only time the 1% happens is if the person, for example, dies in a car accident. There's going to be insurances, lawsuits, and there's going to be, a lot of court issues.
When it's obvious that it is a crime.
Yes, or some kind of accident. So if it's a crime, if it's a car accident, if the person is found at home by themselves, why did this person die? These type of situations are the main reasons why they would, even if the family says no, they have the right to still do the autopsy. But that's only 1%. The other condition would be work-related death. If you died at work while you're working, they want to do a full investigation. So, but that's very, very rare. And
so 99% there is no autopsy.
There's no autopsy. There is autopsy, but 99%, if the family doesn't want it, they don't do it out of respect for the religion. Yeah.
Mana ko'rib turganimizdek, Amerikada 99% holatlarda murdani yorish bo'lmaydi. Endi hozirda meni juda qiziqtirayotgan masala, qay tarzda mana shu agarda o'z vataniga insonni, o'tib ketgan insonni yubormoqchi bo'lsa qarindoshlari, qay tarzda bu narsa amalga oshiriladi? Chunki bilamizki, murda yo'lda demak hid kelishi mumkin, undan yoki boshqa bir muammolar bo'lishi mumkin. Bu narsalarni qay tarzda bular demak amallashadi? Buni hozir bilib olamiz. So, as I know, there are three methods which you have to use when the relatives want to send the body to Uzbekistan. So then, the first one is a frozen dip. The next one is when you use the special liquid instead of the blood. And the third one, we could say mummification, but you say it's
like embalming
process.
Yeah.
Yes. So what kind of, tell me about each method, and what kind of method would you like to use?
The first method, the freezing, like I explained, we cannot do something to somebody who passed away that we can't do to a living person. So the freezing is religiously, it's not jais, it's not
even that you say that you can't use the cold water when the during the religious washing. How can you use the freeze?
So we don't do the freeze. I've never done it. I've never seen it done before. The second process is the second and third process you mentioned is basically the same process. It's not replacing the blood completely with the fluid. It's basically injecting a chemical into the body for two purposes, which is very important, understandable. One is so that they do not spread disease. So the janaza gets to Uzbekistan and the family wants to do the ghusl and kafan there, nobody gets sick while they're doing that. Number two is so that if the flights aren't right, the winter time, there's snow, something goes wrong, and the janaza doesn't get to the destination for a week, then the janaza will not go bad during that week. It's also it's a rule and regulation so that the person needs to be embalmed when they're being sent overseas. Now, a lot of imams and sheikhs are against this. some of them interpret it as body mutilation, which is günah, you know. But you can also think of it in a way where it's like surgery. It's a necessary surgery for them to go over there. Now, what we've been doing these last couple of years is we've been using metal plastic special sleeve containers that are air and watertight. And we treat the outside of the body with the fluid, the second option that you mentioned, and we put them into these bags, and it's airtight, watertight, so it still abides by all the regulations. So technically, we only use two options. One is the embalming. If the process is going to take a long time, then we prefer the embalming. It's up to the family. Or we tell the family we can do exterior, superficial, topical embalming, and then seal the person in the plastic metal bag. And those are the two options that we use mostly.
Okay, and then in embalming, can you a little bit describe this process?
Sure. The embalming has they have a couple of things where people always ask very strange questions.
That's why we prepared this video, for avoiding that kind of questions in the future.
Do they remove the organs? One gentleman came into this gusulhane, and he looking for a container. He says, "Where's the container?" I said, "Which container, brother?" He says, "Where you suck all the blood. Where do you put the blood?" I said, "Brother, we don't take the blood out. Of course, when we are injecting the chemical into the body, some of the blood does come out. But there's common misconceptions, and sheikhs and imams, they all have different interpretations. My interpretation that I follow is from the Quran. For my imam, he explained to me that wherever we live, we have to abide by the laws of the land.
Okay.
So in America, this is a rule and regulation, and we unfortunately have to abide by it.
Okay. And this is kafan?
Yes, sir.
How you use it?
Is it okay if I demonstrate?
Yes. Demek kafan qaytarisida bu yerda ishlatilishini hozirda bizga ko'rsatib berishadi.
If somebody passes away and we're going to cut kafan, our process would be as such, where we actually take the tabut like such, and to make it easier on ourselves and our imams, we would bring the tabut right where the kafan station is, like this. So this way we have a perfect cut every time. So we extend this out like this to the edge of the tabut here.
Mm-hmm.
And this way, when we straighten it out onto the tabut, and we come down the corner,
it's very easy.
Cut. Very easy. One person can do it. We have an exact cut for the first layer. Then we follow the second layer, and then we do the gömlek, the third layer, which is from the ankles to the shoulders, and it's basically comes over the head like a shirt. So it's 3 layers: the gömlek, the second layer from here to here, and then the third layer, which is further out like this, and then the ends would be tied, and usually we call kuşak. So we have either 1 kuşak or 3 kuşak, never 2 kuşak for some reason.
Yes.
So this is our kafan station to keep everything simple and perfectly cut every time. We have our lift here. We have our temperature control.
Yeah, the temperature control is very crucial, yeah?
Very, very important, because from years of experience, 55 to 60 degrees. You can keep a janaza at this temperature for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and nothing will happen to the janaza. Anything more than that is not necessary. Anything higher than that is not good.
Okay.
But between 55 and 60 is always the ideal temperature, and this room is always at that temperature.
Yeah.
And the water's temperature control. We also, during the COVID times, it was very difficult for us.
Yes.
So we installed a negative pressure fan. So that exhaust fan pushes out air from the room at a high rate. So the air is always traveling outside. So during the COVID times, when we were doing janazas here, we would have that on, and it would create negative pressure into the room. So we have that. We try to think of everything we can possibly do to make it easy for the janaza, most important, and easy for the family. Because in the end, our service is first to Allah, then to the maid, then to the family.
Yes.
So that's the most important.
Ahmad Abi, would
Yes,
you
sir.
please tell us about Janoza, if the relatives have decision that the Janoza would be here and all the funeral process would be here in New York? Let's go there
Sure.
and talk about that, please.
Yes, sir.
So for finishing up that part of our video, when Uzbekistan's people sent the relatives to Uzbekistan, just the last question concerning this part of the video. Why every time you use Turkish Airlines instead of Uzbekistan Airlines?
Use Turkish Airlines because they are a little bit more lenient with some of the paperwork. They're not as strict. So they're also a little bit more flexible because Uzbekistan Airways, if I remember correctly, I believe has 2 flights per week.
Yes.
So it gives us a very tight schedule sometimes because it's not like passenger, where a passenger can go there at 11 and do the 1 o'clock flight. If we are going to put the janaza on a 1 o'clock flight, usually we have to bring the janaza there the day before 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if the plane is on Thursday, 1 o'clock, we have to bring the janaza to the airport Wednesday before 5 p.m.
Mm.
So it constricts our time, and time is everything with the families. As you understand, everybody wants everything done very fast. Yeah.
So, and it's a very, I could say, bureaucracy moment concerning the documentations.
The documentation has always been a controversy. I've actually personally consulted with many different consulates from different countries where they would call me and ask me what paperwork is necessary to ship.
And what about Uzbekistan Airways? They ask you so many documents, or why you, or anytime at any case you use Turkish Airlines?
Turkish Airlines, I only need to translate 3 documents. With Uzbekistan Airways, when we send with the intermediary that we use to send with Uzbekistan Airways, we have to translate all of the documents. So
how many documents approximately?
About 10 documents, 12 documents.
Hurmatli O'zbekiston havo yo'llari rahbariyati, mana shu videoni ko'rib turgan bo'lsanglar, e'tibor qilinglar. Mana bu inson o'zi turk bo'lganligi uchun turk havo yo'llaridan foydalanmayapti. Nima uchun O'zbekiston havo yo'llaridan foydalanmayapti? Mana shu yerdagi bizni, demak, o'tib ketgan vatandoshlarimizni O'zbekistonga yuborish uchun. Chunki hujjat nuqtai nazaridan juda ham qiyin. Turkish havo yo'llaridan 3 tagina hujjat tarjima qilinadigan bo'lsa, bu yoqda 10 dan ortiq hujjat tarjima qilinadi. Qolaversa, juda ham qoidalari qiyin. Sal o'ylab ko'ringlar, nima deb o'ylaysizlar? Sizlarning ham boshingizda bunaqa kunlar bo'ladi. So the next question. If the relatives here, so our Uzbekistan people here in New York, they have decision to having that kind of funeral process here in New York. Janoza would be here. They will not send the body to Uzbekistan. So tell me about this process.
It's very chaotic because
why?
Most of the family members, the relatives, with Uzbekistan janazas, other janazas also, but what happens is everybody knows what to do, and everybody knows better what to do. So they're always criticizing.
A lot of managers.
Yeah, so it's don't call Ahmed, call Hassan. Don't call Hassan, call Abdul, and it creates very big confusion. So what I do to combat this is I explain to the family I need to speak to one person directly from the family, and only this person. So when anybody else calls me, I tell them, please speak to Otabek. He's in charge of the janaza. You can get the information from him, please. And it makes everything a lot simpler. Now, everybody wants everything done fast, and it's a very chaotic environment, So when we do everything for the family, it confuses most families.
Yes.
Because do I have to get the death certificate? No. Do I have to speak to the hospital? No. Do I have to get a letter from the doctor? No. Do I have to call the cemetery? I take care of everything for you. What do I have to do? Nothing. I will take care of everything for you. So it creates like an empty void almost,
Yes.
where it's too easy for them.
I have to say it in
Please.
Uzbek as well because
Please.
it's a very crucial. Hurmatli Amerikadagi vatandoshlarimiz, mana shunday agarda Xudo ko'rsatmasin, mana shunday janozalarni o'tkazayotgan bo'lsangiz, iltimos 25 ta boshliq qilmanglar. Mana aytayaptilar Ahmad akam. Bu yerda aynan o'zbeklar janoza qilishni boshlagan paytda eng muammoli janozalardan biri aynan shu. Nimaga? Chunki 25 ta rahbar. Hamma rahbar bo'lgisi keladi. Iltimos, bunaqa paytda rahbarlik qilmaylikda, bitta odamni mas'ul qilib qo'yaylikda va mana shu bitta odam mana shunday agentvani, demak, xodimi bilan aloqada bo'lib, barcha tashkiliy masalalarni hal qilish kerak. Bularni ham boshdan ortmaslik kerak va o'tib ketgan qadrdonimizni, qarindoshlarini ham boshdan ortmasligimiz kerak. Iltimos, shuning uchun shu narsaga qattiq e'tibor berish kerak. Bu narsa bor gap, chunki o'zbek to'ylarida ham Nyu-Yorkda xuddi shu ahvol. So, the process of janaza here, it would be here.
Yes, if we did it here, usually we use whatever jami or masjid the family wants to use. If they want to use our premises here, we would line up all of the chairs here, and we would bring the janaza here. This folds up like this, and locks into place.
Demak, janoza shu yerda o'zida o'tkaziladi. Agarda qarindoshlari shu narsani istasa.
So the janaza would be here according to the qibla, and while the family is here, our imam would read the Yasin Sharif from the Quran, and after the Yasin Sharif, we would all stand, move the chairs, and we would do the Salatul Janaza, the Janaza prayer here. And the part that makes it easy, the way we try to design everything from the Ghusl-Khane to here, is once the Janaza is finished, the front gate opens up, and the car pulls in all the way up to here.
The car would be here.
Exactly. So right after we're done, we walk it over to here. We load the funeral car, and it makes it much more practical and easy as possible. And then we would all line up our cars outside and follow each other to the cemetery. At the cemetery, the same process would happen. There would be recitals from the Holy Quran, and there would be what's called a talqin. And after the burial, and that's really it.
The last question, one of the most important one. Endi eng oxirgi masala. Agarda O'zbekistonga o'tib ketgan qadrdonimizni yuboradigan bo'lsak, qancha pulga tushadi bularning xizmati va agarda janozani shu yerda o'tkazadigan bo'lsak, unda qancha pulga bu narsa tushishini hozirda bilamiz. So one of the most important questions. How much does it cost if Uzbekistan's people will send the body to Uzbekistan, and I mean your services, and if janaza would be here? So two cases.
Sure. So basically a burial in New York or at a New Jersey cemetery, a New York masjid, or even here, would approximately be between about $3,000 and $4,000. But that depends if it's nighttime, if it's the weekend is involved. But on average, it's approximately $3,250. So for a burial here, the average price is this, but this is not including the...
3 or 3,500.
Yeah, but it's not including the cemetery and the grave.
I mean your services.
Yes.
Demek bularni faqatgina xizmati agarda janoza shu yerda bo'ladigan bo'lsa, $3,000 dan $3,500
But also I would like to add, we have a lot of problems with this price, not the amount of the price, but when families call us for a price, we tell them exactly what it's going to come out to.
Can you tell us as well that the details in that $3,500?
So for example, if they call me, we tell them straight, exactly. This is how much everything's going to cost, and then at the end we will explain everything to them on the bill. Other places that they call, they say, yes, we do janaza for 1,000, 1,400, 1,800. And then they call me and say, Ahmed, you're telling me 3,000. I call somebody, they said 1,400. I tell them, brother, but this does not include the funeral car, the kafan and the ghusl and the wash.
Imam services?
The imam services, the transport. They add, and it comes out almost to the same. So in essence, we look bad then, but we're trying to be honest. So our honesty
It's the best policy.
It's the best policy, but we lose a lot of our people and our services because of it.
But your money would be halal?
No.
Yeah?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
No, that's the most important thing.
Of course.
Alhamdulillah.
I mean, your money would be halal because you explain everything.
Yes.
You don't try to hide something.
Exactly.
And hide the truth.
We tell it exactly how much it's going to be.
Okay, and the case of if you'd like to send the
ship.
body to Uzbekistan,
The shipping would only be an extra maybe $250 preparations. So it would be maybe $3,500 plus the airline. So now the airlines apply a flat rate. So for example, to Uzbekistan would be $3,500. So if the Janoza services is $3,500 and the airline is $3,500, it will come out to $7,000 from hospital to Tashkent.
Ahmad Abe, thank you very much for very informative interview. It is very difficult to come here, and I can't say I want to be your guest,
No,
but I want to ask you,
yes,
please be my guest because
Inshallah.
I'm an MC of the weddings.
Inshallah, and I'm very grateful to you for doing this interview because nobody wants to think of these things until they live them. If we live our lives knowing and at least once a day realizing that we're going to die and we're going to need these services, then you live a better life. And I appreciate what you're doing with this interview very much, brother.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.
Allah razı olsun.
Allah razı bo'lsin sizdan ham. Biz esa ushbu videoni ko'rishni davom ettiramiz. Men o'zi ketayotgandim, lekin Ahmad akam aytdilarki, qanaqadir syurprizlari bor. Dafn etilish marosimini o'tkazadigan odamdan syurpriz olish shaxsan menga unchalik yaxshi emas, lekin qanaqa syurprizligini har bilib olamiz. So, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would like to say that I love the Uzbek people, Turkish people, Uzbek people, Kazakh people, Turkmen people, Azeri people. We are all cousins. We all come from our ata, Ozhan, alhamdulillah. So I want to express my love for Uzbekistan, our brothers and our sisters. Inshallah, Allah give long, happy, healthy lives to all of us. And as a symbol of my love for Uzbekistan and my appreciation for my brother, I would like to give him a small arman, a hediye, to remind him during the holy month of Ramadan.
Tasbih.
It's a tasbih with Allah, our religion, and also as a symbol of our unity.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you for your work and your efforts. And inshallah, Allah muvaffaq eylesin.
Salamat bo'ling.
Thank you, brother. And salam and respects to all my Uzbek brothers and sisters. Allah emanet.
Salam and respect to all of our Turkish friends as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Allah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.